Fear Not, Episode 111. Hi, I'm Billy Atwell, and I believe that consistently facing your fears is the only way to realize your truest self and to make those confident choices that will help you to obtain your deepest held hopes and dreams. I have faith that this podcast series will show you that you are not alone, that it will strengthen you and give you courage to face your fears, and that it will help you to permanently cross over into a life of living beyond your fears. Join me on this journey as we listen and learn from others as they share their experiences in facing and overcoming their own fears. Hello, everybody. Today you and I are going to be joined by Gordon. Welcome, John. How are you today?
I'm doing great, thanks.
Yeah, you ready to fear not today?
I am. I'm not fearing today at all.
Great. John is the author of numerous bestsellers, including The Energy Bus, The Carpenter, You Win in the Locker Room First, and The No Complaining Rule. His best-selling books and talks have inspired readers and audiences around the world. His principles have been put to the test by numerous NFL, NBA, and NBL coaches and teams, Fortune 500 companies, school districts, hospitals, and nonprofits. His tips have been featured on The Today Show, CNN, CNBC, The Golf Channel, Fox and Friends, and in numerous magazines and newspapers. His clients include the Los Angeles Dodgers, the Atlantic Falcons, Campbell Soup, Dell, Southwestern Airlines, and many, many more. John, could you take a few moments to fill in those gaps and maybe also give us a brief glimpse of your personal life?
Sure. I started writing and speaking about 13 years ago. It became my life's work. I was miserable, negative, very fearful, and unhappy with my life. And one day I just said, what am I born to do? Why am I here? Why am I so miserable? And that came after my wife gave me an ultimatum, like change or, our marriage is over because you're not the man I married. I had gotten really, again, fearful, negative, unhappy, and just wasn't being a very good husband in a lot of ways. I wasn't abusive or anything. I just wasn't just being a very good husband. And so I agreed to change. I asked those questions, and writing and speaking came to me. And that began my journey of having to face my fears, overcome tons of challenges to ultimately do the work that I do now. It's been an incredible journey of self-discovery, of failure, and yet pushing through, of grit, and then ultimately becoming someone who now talks a lot about overcoming fear.
Would you also share with us today, John, one of the biggest fears that you've had to face?
I think one of the greatest fears I had to face was when this happened with my wife, and then I lost my job during the dot-com crash at the same time. And so I had decided to open up a few, not a few, but at the time, one Moe's Southwest Grill, a burrito place in Jacksonville, Florida. Second mortgaged our home, $20,000 in credit cards, put everything we had into this one franchise restaurant and didn't know how it was going to go. And then I lose my job on top of it now. So I don't know how I'm going to pay the bills while the restaurant is going. One of the most fearful times in my life. But honestly, that's when my faith was born because I was left with nothing left. Like I couldn't trust in myself. I couldn't trust in the situation. I literally had to pray. And I prayed every day, like just somehow, some way, like just please provide for my family. Please provide for us so I'll do this work. And it was amazing. Like we broke even somehow the first week and broke even the second week and then started making money maybe after like the fourth week a little bit. When I say make money, we still weren't, making money. We were just somehow, just getting by with just extra money to do some radio advertising. And then we did some radio advertising. And then from there, it sort of just took off. And it took about 6 months to make money. But during that time, people who owed me money came into the picture like at random times. Just randomly. And then I got this consulting job that said, "Hey, we want you to consult with us, and we'll pay you, $13,000 for 6 weeks of consulting." And they wanted to learn about wireless technology, which was the job I had lost. It was unbelievable how it happened. And as that last dime ran out of our bank account, we made our first profit at the restaurant. It was unbelievable. So fearful, tons of fear, but also tons of faith.
So, beyond your faith and the act of praying, what else do you do to help face your fears and move beyond them?
What I do and what I teach others to do now is to understand that fear is a liar. Fear is a liar. Negative thoughts are lies. I ask people all the time, do your negative thoughts come from you? And people say yes. I say, no, no, no. Who would ever choose to have a negative thought? Would you choose to have a negative thought? No. So they're not coming from you. They come from a spiritual place. They come from consciousness. Fear is not coming from you. And once you understand that, just because you have a negative thought doesn't mean you have to believe it. So what I've learned and what I do and what I teach others is don't believe the lie. Instead, respond with truth. Speak truth to the lies. Have an anchor of truth. And the truth is that you can be great at any moment. The truth is you're here for a reason. You have a purpose. The truth is, stay positive. God has a plan. I say it all the time. The truth is, it may not look good now, but if you just move forward and continue to push forward, great things are coming your way. It doesn't always mean that, when you're positive that your goal is going to happen. I ran for city council, walked door to door to 7,000 houses and lost at 26 years old. But looking back, losing led me to do what do I do now. And so sometimes you have to lose a goal to find your destiny. So what I do is I help people to understand that those fears are not grounded in any kind of truth whatsoever, and they never are. And so when you respond with truth and you speak truth to the lie, you now move forward with power.
John, you've clearly reached a level of maturity when it comes to facing and handling fear. Would you mind sharing with us some of the resources, whether it be books or what have you, that you've come across on your path that have helped you to be who you are today?
I think book wise, it's more life that has really helped me on this journey. It's been more walking the walk. It's been praying. It's been seeing God move in my life. It has been, being left with almost nothing and then somehow seeing the situation turn around. And so when you see evidence of faith, you then have faith. But book wise, I mean, Erwin McManus has been a big influence in my life. It's been more his podcast and his messages. He's a pastor out in LA. He's really influenced me in a lot of great ways. I would also say John Orberg, who wrote Soul Keeping and God is Closer Than You Think, is incredible in terms of prayer. Mark Batterson wrote a great book called The Circle Maker. Love his work. So a lot of these books have been very, inspirational for me on my journey. But it really is the walk and the insights that come to me about fear and how to counter it and deal with it and just be bold, be courageous. And when you read in the Bible, Jesus said, fear not 366 times, one for every day of the year and leap year. And so I think he was really giving a message not to fear. Why? Because fear is the second most powerful force in the universe. And it's the number one thing that keeps you from your goal and your destiny. That's why I love your podcast is fear not, right? Don't fear, move forward with faith. And the number one force in the universe is love. And if you love it, you won't fear it. So I always tell professional athletes when I work with them that fear that you have, counter it with love. Just love what you do, love competing, and love the moment. Don't think about the outcome. Don't worry about it. If you love it, you won't fear it.
Are you ready for the speed run?
I'm ready.
What individual, whether they're fiction or real, has made the most impact on your life?
Well, I said Erwin McManus, no doubt.
And if you could instantly change one thing in the world, what would you change?
I would have everyone focus on love instead of fear.
What's your biggest weakness?
My biggest weakness is I just care too much. No, I'm just kidding. People say I just have so much love for the universe. That's my weakness. My biggest weakness. That's such a tough question to really get to the core of the biggest weakness. I would say my biggest weakness is um, this desire and this fear that comes to me at different times that says I'm not enough and that I need to be more to be successful and not just be myself. So my father left when I was 1 year old, my biological father. So I think, when you have that, as part of your history and part of your life, they call it abandonment issues. So I think part of that has led to this journey, but it's also what drives me to succeed. But ultimately, what I've learned is that I cannot allow that fear of not being enough to keep me from just feeling worthy and just going about doing the work. And so it's been my life journey, but I know it. And then I also understand when it comes up and I know how to counter it. And that's to provide value to others and just serve others instead of focusing on my own value.
What's your biggest strength?
My biggest strength, I would say, is my grit. It is my willingness to persevere. When I wrote The Energy Bus, it was rejected by over 30 publishers. My agent said I should even give up, but I really felt like I had something that could make a difference. So I just kept putting it out there. It finally gets published, and now not one bookstore would carry the book. So I go on a 28-city tour, paid for it myself. Took 5 years for it to become a bestseller. 5 years of just doing the work, sharing the message. Finally, it's a bestseller. And now, every day I just go out there and just continue to work hard and do the work and just try to make a difference. So I would say it's grit.
If you could only have one book, what would that book be?
It would be the Bible.
Do you have a favorite sound?
So do I have a favorite sound?
Mm-hmm.
The sound of the ocean. I love being near the ocean. And I want to say that I love nature and I love creation. And so in this, talk we've had, I've been, sharing my obviously my spiritual beliefs, but I want people to know I love everybody and I value everybody. And my faith guides me, but my faith calls me to love everyone. And to me, that's the most important thing.
And John, if someone would like to connect with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
jgordon.com, JON Gordon.com, or Twitter at jongordon11, Instagram at jongordon11 as well. So Twitter and Instagram the same, and then I'm on Facebook. And so people, reach out in all different ways, and I always respond to people.
And what parting advice would you like to leave with us today?
I would like to let people know that the best advice I ever heard was from Dr. James Gills, the only person on the planet to complete 6 double Ironman triathlons, 6 double Ironmans, which means you do an Ironman and then 24 hours later you do another one. Last time he did, he was 59 years old and was asked how he did it. He said, I've learned to talk to myself instead of listen to myself. So if I listen to myself, I hear all the negative, all the fear, all the doubt, and all the complaints. But if I talk to myself, I can feed myself with the words and the encouragement that I need to keep on moving forward. So I would like to part with by saying, talk to yourself. Don't listen to the fear. Talk to yourself with the words of encouragement and truth that keep you moving forward. And being positive doesn't just make you better, it makes everyone around you better.
That's excellent advice and something to totally consider seriously. John, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show today. And your energy is amazing and just what a great example of how to face fear. So thank you so much for coming on, sharing your story and sharing your faith and just spending time with us today.
Thanks, Billy. Thanks for having me. And I appreciate what you do. I think it's incredible. Fear not. I love it.
Thank you for joining me today. And remember, you cannot achieve everything, but you do have the God-given ability to achieve anything. So stay focused, out of fear, and keep on keeping on. Until next time, be well and peaceful. For more information on today's episode and guest, or for resources that will assist you in overcoming your fears, visit livingbeyondyourfears.com. And don't forget to subscribe to this podcast, where 3 times a week we move to a life beyond our fears.